Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Gemma Rach Let's Chat podcast. We have a special guest this week. Santa Claus himself has come to visit.
Ho, ho, ho.
We're in the festive spirit and we are bringing you another Dieters Dilemmas. And let me tell you, if you're looking for some straight talking, this man over here is going to be able to give it to you. So you know what to do. Pop on your headphones, link up your Bluetooth, grab a brew and let's chat. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Again.
Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks. This is the first time, I think, isn't it?
I think it's the first time the three of us, isn't it, on the podcast?
Yeah, it is. I was surprised to see you this morning.
I'm going to take these off because
Rach just got desperate.
If you can hear jingling, it was my aunt in the headphones, but I feel like it's going to be disrupt people.
Distract him, yeah, maybe.
Episode. So you can keep that on.
No, I'll leave that off then.
Oh, nice intro.
Suddenly it's no longer very festive.
That's right, we've got to run up.
I tried today.
Your tree looks absolutely stunning. You're bringing
the kids. The kids did that. Like, I haven't changed any of it. They've done a good job.
We can only see a part of it though. The back of it might not have
Yeah, the back. Yeah, that's true.
So we are now, 3 weeks-ish out until Christmas kind of begins, when people are probably going to start going to see family and all the rest of it. So like we said, we're going to be doing some dedicated Diet Dilemma episodes talking about the things that you want to know for Christmas. So we've got 3 questions that we're going to go over in today's episode. Ooh. Remember...
It's the not knowing.
I know. Remember, as always, the Diet Dilemma anonymous link is always in the show notes and the description. So if you have got any questions you want us to answer, we may have some other guests coming on over the next couple of weeks. So make sure to submit them so that we can answer your questions. So guys, we're going to go with number 1, the first question. And it says, "Hi Gemma Rach, I'm an emotional eater / food addict / binge eater. Do I do what I want on Christmas Day and eat my off-plan meal until I'm stuffed? Or do I restrict the portion and mentally / emotionally enjoy it less? Trying to work out how to enjoy my Christmas dinner whilst maintaining a healthier mindset."
Ooh.
I feel like this is like something that a lot of people are worried about.
Yeah, I do.
And we were worried about it, weren't we? So like the first Christmas, we were worried, but we did really well. Last year, absolute shit show.
You're allowed to swear?
Yeah, the podcast is for adults.
Okay.
I don't recommend this for anyone under the age of 18.
My Christmas Day is normally a bit of a shit show as well with the Prosecco. You know, it is what it is. It's one day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But your Christmas now will look very different to your Christmases before you did plan. And I think that's the thing I always say to people. And it's like what we discussed, Gem, in earlier episodes in the summer when we were talking about things like holidays. Whilst we were talking about summer holidays in those episodes, I would go back and listen to them because you can apply what we're telling you to any season, time of year, event. But if you're on this plan and you're looking to lose weight and look to manage that long term, you have to accept that every event, every thing that you use to interact with food is going to change.
It has to change, doesn't it? Long term. I think that's everyone's first fear is, I don't want to never have the foods that I love again, or I don't know. But like this person's just said, eating to the point of actually being stuffed and overly full, that's not enjoyable. Like actually, if you think about how you feel after that and how that's made you feel every year up until now, it's probably not the best feeling. So actually that is something that does need to change, and you can still enjoy foods, every food in moderation. You don't need to eat like to the extent of feeling sick, basically.
That was the thing I picked up on from you reading it out. Eating until you get stuffed. That's the mindset you've got to get out of. I'd rather Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day not eat until I get stuffed, but have things over those 3 days instead of just smashing it on Christmas Day and then watching everybody else eat around you on Christmas Eve, Boxing Day. Or, some years it would go from, like Christmas Eve up until New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that uncomfortable feeling, isn't it? It feels feel awful.
Exactly, yeah. If you're going into Christmas with a mindset of I'm eating to get stuffed, then it's the wrong way.
Probably not the best mindset, yeah.
Definitely
Which is the old mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, big time.
That's it. And like when you're saying do I do what I want and then relating to that stuff feeling, is that what you want though?
Is that really what you want?
Is that just that you perhaps, like I'm always very open with everyone. I'm a sugar addict through and through, right? And I know if I eat too much sugar, I'm going to pay the price for it. I'm going to have like a food hangover. We've all had the food hangovers, right? We don't want that. And so one of the things that I put on my Instagram this week and I've been doing with my clients is looking at what food do you actually want to enjoy over Christmas. So I call it the My 3 treats. So I say to all of my clients, I want you to sit down and I want you to think about 3 things that you really want to enjoy over Christmas that you are not going to track, weigh, measure, feel guilty about, none of that. and then you were going to enjoy them completely guilt-free over the Christmas period. Now, that doesn't mean that all they're going to have over Christmas is those 3 things. What it means is anything else that they're going to have that isn't one of those 3 things is going to be more thought out or measured or tracked or whatever it is. And you might be like, but it's Christmas, blah, 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 blah. That's not what Christmas is. Well, Christmas hasn't been enjoyable really previously if actually you're getting to the end of it and feeling rubbish. And we know, like, we all see firsthand how people are feeling from the 27th of December through to the 1st of January. And a lot of the time they are not we're not getting messages from people saying, oh, I'm just so hyped up to have a healthy lifestyle next year. Like, I'm really excited to reach out to you. It's like, I feel rubbish. I feel bloated. I feel lethargic. And so it's about like reassessing that mindset to be like, actually, what things do I want to enjoy? And I think thinking about how do I want to feel come the 28th of December, and let that be your driving force in your decision making then.
Yeah, it rolls on for me like post Christmas as well, because the mindset of eating until you get stuffed or losing weight for a certain date, I want to lose this amount to get to Christmas. It shouldn't. This is how we shouldn't be thinking. We should be thinking of, you can have a good Christmas, but then the rest of the year dotted in with little events, but the rest of the year is eating like a healthier or normal sort of calorie restriction.
Well, I always say, like, it's what you do the majority of the time that counts, isn't it? It's not what you do sometimes, but it is still that mindset of, I want to eat as much as I possibly can. That's the bit that I think in that message this person needs to change, because that is definitely an older mindset, and that's the mindset I used to have. The same mindset of, oh, I'm going out for a meal, I'm going to eat as much as I can, and like, I'm going to pick the meal that I get the most food out of. Do you know what I mean? That's how I used to feel. Like, I would have the burger because it was the same price as the salmon, but I'd get more food if I had the burger. Whereas now I would pick the salmon because it's actually nicer and it's healthier. It's so hard to change that mindset. I feel like that's the one point out of that person's message that I would want to change.
I think you need a bit of success first, don't you? I think
you do.
You need to know that you can do it, because when you're on the one-to-one diet and you're on plan and you see the weight coming down and it's constantly coming down, it's something that you know you can do. Whereas before, we've probably been up, down, up, down, up, down, and it's never like moved. We've probably stayed at the same place or probably got heavier.
I was going to say, stayed at the same place.
Yeah, or got heavier. But when you get a bit of success...
That's amazing if you do that.
When you get a bit of success, you realise that you can actually do it. So
it gives you that confidence.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't need these boom and bust times where you're going from Christmas to Easter to the summer holidays to Halloween. You're just bumping along to the next event to try and lose weight. And at the end of the day, you're either going to stay the same or you're going to get heavier doing that sort of thing. And you're never going to change your mindset on it.
That's it. It's like this whole, we need to lose this idea that these events are to go wild, because we all say like, oh, well, it's Christmas. Okay. But come January, we all might be really dedicated for a couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden, the Easter stuff's in the shop. Valentine's Day things are in the shop. It's a bank holiday. Is it going to be sunny? It's going to be this. It's going to be that. This is the thing. I think we lead ourselves into this false sense of it's just now. And then after, it's like, you know, when people say you don't need to worry about what you do between kind of the 25th and the 31st of December. You need to worry about what you do from the 1st of January to the 24th of December. But that's not true, because between January and Christmas Eve, there are a multitude of things.
It's constant, isn't it? There's always something.
All the time. Whether it's, you know, just look back at the episodes we've done, right? Where we are covering, how do I cope at Easter? How do I cope with half term? How do I get... These things are going to always happen. So unless you fundamentally change how you approach anything with food, you're always going to be, like you say, in that boom and bust mindset. You've got to take your
mindset away from weight losses for events or certain things. Because thrown in with stuff like Easter, Halloween and Christmas and things, you've got birthdays, anniversaries, weddings. There's always an event that you're going to be like eating for or losing weight for. And I mean, that.
And like Rach just said, even when it's sunny, the sun comes out, people are like, oh, let's go to the pub. Like, there's always something, isn't there? And there's always an excuse. That just seems to be like what our lives are like socially. I feel like that's what everybody does.
But that's why it needs to. You need to change your approach to that. And so like a big bit of advice, and I'm not plugging it here. You can do it or you can't do it. I would go and check out my mindset course on my YouTube channel. I would.
Yeah, you should.
Did you just roll your eyes?
Yeah, because you're not plugging it, you are plugging it.
But I think
but she should. It's good, Jamie.
It's a good resource. Anyway, there's one session in there, well, two actually that I would recommend. One that we've actually covered on the podcast, which is your boundary setting. Really take some time ahead of Christmas to prioritize how you're going to have those conversations with people who maybe offer you things. Maybe you need to have conversations ahead of time. That episode that me and Gem did, and it is also within the mindset course, it goes through different types of people that, different types of people that you might interact with, how you might approach it differently. Go and check that out. The other one would be the session on emotional eating, and actually looking at how much of what I'm craving or wanting for a good Christmas is actually me wanting to enjoy the food, and how much is it maybe me trying to disassociate or trying to feel some kind of nostalgia from like a happier time or things like this, which is fine, but it's not fine if actually it's going to be harmful in the long run. And so that session can really help you identify like what is the root cause of why I want to do these things, and perhaps how can I change it a little bit. Gem, I'm sure you'll agree with me that the biggest bit of advice I would give to anyone, especially at this time of year, like you need to work on your mindset, you need to look after that. And the one way that you're going to do that the best is by reaching out to your consultant. Do not use the excuse of it's December, they don't want to speak to me. We do. If you go in my calendar and maybe I'm not doing calls that day, that's not a reason not to message me or voice note me or, use other ways in which you can get that accountability.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, you cannot ride solo.
No. And
you can't.
Going back to the question of doing what you want, I always use the example for me of when you were at we were all at the Slimmer Awards for the Woman of the Year one for Rachel.
That little one, yeah.
I was on 1B then.
With a big rookie beard.
And I went there with the intention of eating small portions of the 3-course meal that was out there. But I think what people fall into then is, oh, well, I've had an off-plan meal, so I may as well just go all out and have something else, where like just... if you've got plans to have an off-plan meal and you're on the lower steps especially, just keep it to that off-plan meal, little bits as well, because I was really full after it and I didn't think that I'd ruined my...
No, you were so controlled. And I'll never forget at breakfast, you two, how controlled you were with your proteins and your fruit and your yogurt. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, you had changed your mindset.
You have to, though. And I think that's that you have to get to a place of accepting that. If you're not willing to accept that, then I'd go as far as saying, what are you doing plan for? You're using this plan in a way that is only going to be toxic and negative. And if you're not working on that mindset, as we've mentioned a couple of times now, a third of this plan is about working with your consultant, working on those things. So if you're not doing that, you're not going to get the results. You may look at us and be like, well, how did Rach and Jamie do it? They just stuck to plan. You're honing in on the wrong part that meant we had success with this plan. Like, the success was we badgered this woman to death and made her life a misery for 9 months whilst I was...
No, you didn't. It was amazing.
But it's important. And so talk with your consultant, find a way that's going to help you. Because if your mind... I can tell from this message that it doesn't really matter actually what you eat and what way you eat. Your mind is going to be what derails this.
Definitely,
but you're going to hyperfixate on the food because it's easier than actually trying to work on the underlying problems.
Do you know, I think it's hard for people looking in as well, or like watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, because I always say it to you, don't I, about like PTs or personal trainers. People look in and go, oh, you've already done it, like it's easy for you to say this or say that. It's like a PT, well, you've got a body like that, you've already... Nobody sees like the work that goes in to keeping it like this, because believe me, like maintenance is still like a journey now of reining in, maybe having some like off, you wouldn't call it off plan now, would you? But you'd call it like a treat or something. Exactly.
And you're allowed to indulge. That's a big thing. Like, you're allowed to indulge and enjoy food. There's nothing wrong with that, but not at the expense of your mind. And so if you know that by doing that I'm going to damage my mindset, then don't do it. Like, I have been like thinking about Christmas loads, because obviously I've been on plan since September, like beginning of September, and I feel like I've done more work on my mind in the last like 3 months than I did in the 3-4 years beforehand. So actually I really want to protect that over Christmas. Now, if that means that I am much more mindful of what I'm eating, and already we have been, haven't we? Like this time last year we were already like,
it was the full on from Halloween. Like Halloween's a Christmas.
A mess. Whereas this year, I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to do that because actually I feel really good. My mind's in a really good place. Why would I jeopardize that? Now, if your mind's not in a good place, then that's a difficult thing to be passionate about. However, if you just start doing the work, like just you've got time now, it's going to build up that reason why. That reason why doesn't have to be wearing that outfit, wearing that. That reason why should be that you want to have that better relationship and that freedom and that control where I can say, I don't want to eat that box of roses, and it doesn't stir up any amount of FOMO, sadness, missing out at all. Because I know how much I missed out last year, not just at Christmas, but January through to September, because I wasn't working on that.
Yeah.
And you were the same. Things got right out of control.
People weigh themselves as well, you know, like after Christmas Day. And they'll have
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
they'd have put on like 4 or 5 pounds, and then it'd be like, well, I'll just put on weight over Christmas Day now.
But again, that's not protecting your mind, is it? It's that guilt of, oh, I've eaten everything and I have to see what it says on the scales. Again, that's a vicious cycle. So maybe that's the 2 top tips, isn't it? Like, don't eat until you feel sick, and definitely don't weigh after a bit of overindulgence. There's absolutely no need, because you're just feeding into that guilt, you know, kind of binge restrict mentality.
But with that as well, with weighing and seeing the number on there, you're almost giving yourself permission to go wild then after that, because you're like, well, I've put on
I've already anyway,
after a day, so what's another 2 days going to be? But those 2 days roll into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
and then months.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're at the summer again, and you're like, oh,
you've got a holiday in 6 weeks. What can I do?
I know.
No, it is bad. Yeah, don't wait. I always say, so tips for this person, summarising it for everyone. Look at the mindset course. Look at what you actually want to enjoy over Christmas. Don't eat until you feel sick. Be very mindful when you're eating, and do not wait. I say to my clients, you have to do a full week back on plan before you're allowed to step on the scales.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you put on it, but why? It doesn't matter. Don't even come at me with, but how am I going to know what I lost then? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
No.
What matters is you're getting back into the flow of it. Now, talking about not stepping on the scales, this next one is quite interesting, because we talk about this a lot, Jem, but actually perhaps we're not giving people ideas on things that they can use for this. So somebody says support or suggestions around non-scale goals. So we will often say, like, non-scale goals are really important. It's important that you have them. There is also a session in the mindset course around positive goal setting if you want to check it out. But what kind of things do you say to people, especially this time of year, to look at with their non-scale goals?
I think a lot of my clients, you know, really need to focus on, it's how you're feeling each day. Like, I think we do so much work on our weekly calls to just think about those daily habits, like tiny little habits that you can change actually make such a big difference. For me, it was just my first thing that I changed was getting up and having that pint of water. I do that every day now. I don't know what it is mentally. It's helped me feel fresher in the morning. It makes me feel more in control, because I've started the day with like a new habit. And a lot of my clients do a lot of visual work. So they'll take a lot of photos and they take a lot of videos, as opposed to like weighing on the scales. I think that's really important. I mean, it is the hardest thing for most people to take their full length photos at the beginning. And they do, you know, I do have a lot of messages saying, oh, I really don't want to do it. But I just feel like it's so much better than seeing a number, because actually it's how you carry yourself. It's the confidence you have in yourself. And I find people can lose 2 pounds and they've already gained all this confidence because they've been fueling their body right. And they kind of, they're coming away from, oh, I have to weigh this. So I'm like, actually, you don't weigh any different to what you did last week, but look at the difference in how you feel and how you're talking about yourself and how you are every day. I just think it's so important to really look at that side of it. And not those bloody scales.
Agree. Pictures are so important, and like no one likes taking them. Like I'll say to my clients about taking their pictures, and they'll be like, "I really don't want to." I'm like, "Do you honestly think that I wanted to see my bum from that angle?" Like I remember having severe trust issues with you when I took that first photo from the back.
I remember you sending me a message saying, "Why has Jamie never told me that my shelf is that?"
Yeah,
I was like, "You probably quite liked the shelf."
I'm sorry, I know you're a bum man, but that was like a level where you need to go on some kind of like Channel 4.
But Rach, your arse is still amazing. Like you've got a good bum.
Yeah,
mine is flat.
Not then, it wasn't. It was ridiculous, right? And it was not a nice experience. And we didn't have any full length mirrors, did we, in the house? The only mirrors we had were, you know, in your bathroom, like your vanity cupboard that you have on the wall.
Yeah,
that was the only mirrors we had. And so I hadn't seen what it all was like, what I was all looking like. And there is that element of like having to come out of denial. And it wasn't a case that I looked at those pictures and was like, I'm awful, I'm an awful person, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, okay, this is the reality. Like, I have to face this. Like, this is where I'm starting from. And yours as well.
Yeah.
There was definitely reality checks, weren't there? It's like, oh God, this has got terrible.
But there is, it's that point of, right, I really want to change now. You know, I don't want to feel like, I don't want to look like this anymore. And actually it is, you hit the nail on the head. That's that denial. A lot of my clients say that they don't look in the mirror. They don't wear clothes that are tight. They just wear baggy clothes. They don't ever have to see it. They don't ever have to think about it. Actually, you need to own up to it. You need to accept it and move on, because otherwise you can't change, can you? If you haven't really come to that acceptance sort of point.
No, it's, for me as well, it's the doubt of being able to do it or not. That's the thing, because we've never had like any linear progress in weight loss before, and then you're at your maybe not your worst point that you're ever going to be, but you're at a low point then. You know, like, you probably think you're helpless, you can't do anything, so you may as well just carry on. And then you're looking at people who've lost all this weight and thinking, well, how have they done it?
Yeah,
I'd never given this a try before. I was very skeptical, as you
I remember.
Not outwardly, I'll say, but I was very skeptical. But I would see Rach like saying she's lost this amount every week, and I thought, well, there must be something in this then.
And like, you know, that me, it's not like I was someone that was really good at dieting. Like, and I always think that when people say to me, like, well, you're just really good at it. And I'm like, well, no, one, it was my 6th time doing this plan.
Yeah.
Like, and 2, I've been doing diets every other week. Like, we both had, like, it was completely normal. We would either be binging or it would be like, oh, I'm back at this slimming group or whatever. The difference would always come back to was that accountability, that support, and all the rest of it. But like you said, if you don't, I didn't think when I sent you those pictures it was going to happen. I told myself I was going to do it, and that's, I think, that power of it, just telling yourself like it's happening, like regardless of whether I like it or I don't like it, it is happening.
It's happening, and that's another thing. What you tell yourself in your mind is exactly what will happen. So you have to just, you do have to fake it till you make it. Just tell yourself you're doing it. I don't know about you, Rach. I get a lot of first consultations with people where they say, I'm really going to try this time. I'm really, really going to try and do my best. And I'm like, no, you're going to do it 100%. It's happening. And it's that they've still got that tiny bit of doubt. And then they're telling themselves, oh, I've done this before and I always fail on week 3, or I always fail on day 3, or whatever these things are. That needs to come straight out your mind instantly. And I think you probably had a bit of that. You were like, I can't do that again. This time I'm 100% doing it. I've told Gemma I'm doing it. I'm going to put it on social media. You changed everything about the way you approached the plan. Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't change the products. And I think that's the bit, like, I
thought you were going to say your husband.
No, I didn't change them either. But it wasn't like suddenly I had different products at different times, or I had them in a different way. No, I had the products the same way that I'd had the products the other 5 times that I'd done the plan. But what fundamentally changed was how I was approaching it, how I was using it. And, you know, we've said before, you don't have to go and start doing blogs and stuff on social media. But I was speaking to one of my clients last night, funnily, who, like me, has got ADHD. And I was saying the big reason I started doing the videos was because my mind is too quick for my hand to write. So journaling never works for me. I just get frustrated. My handwriting is not the neatest. So I was never able to get that thought out of my mind. Put a camera up and press record. You haven't got to send it to anyone, but it just gives you that opportunity to talk about how you're feeling. And, you know, if that's something then you want to send to your consultant, great.
Yeah.
If not, fine. But you're giving yourself an opportunity to sit and do things differently. What is it they say? You can't do the same things and get the same results. Like, that's literally insanity.
It's true.
So.
And they can go back and look at those journals, can't they? They can I think yours was like an online journal. Obviously you did share it in front of a lot of people, but I do have clients that record. No, exactly. And it just showed that people could massively relate to what you were saying. And then again, you feel like more heard, you feel more normal, and it kind of gives you that confidence to carry on. Then it's kind of like, oh, people are watching now. I am going to do this. Like, they believe in me. I've got to believe in myself. Do you know what I mean? But I've got clients that record videos and don't send them anywhere, and they just watch them back, and they'll go back to their first video quite a lot. If they're ever struggling, they'll look back at exactly how they were feeling. I think that's a really powerful thing to do at the beginning. Just record a little video for yourself, talking about why you want to do it.
Yeah.
And to look back on that is powerful, isn't it?
With the one-to-one diet as well, or when you're on plan, I think just breaking it, what I did was break it down really simple. I went on a low step, 1B. And when I found out, or when I read about the diet, or was told about the diet by you and Rach, it was like, I'm eating 800 calories. So as long as I do this for a certain amount of time, well, of course I'm going to lose weight. Like, it never entered my head that if I did this and carried on for a month, 2 months, 3 months, that I was going to it was physically impossible that I could put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
I was going
You
to
were confident in the plan, weren't you? You knew it was going to work.
Exactly, yeah. So already in my head, I was like, well, if I just follow this, and I'm going to get to where I want to be.
That's how I saw it. I was a bit simple like that as well. I was like, if I stick to it, she's told me I'm going to lose about a stone a month, so that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly, and that's how you need to think of it. Not adding in, oh, can I have this? Can I have that? Because as soon as you do that, the negativity creeps in your brain to think, have I ruined it? Should I have had that? And then you're gone then. So as long as you keep it positive and as long as you keep it simple, whereas you're going to eat your products or eat these meals, you're going to lose weight at the end of the day and get to where you want to be. Whether that takes 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever, you're going to do it.
You need to get the time frame out of your head and just like embrace the process. But I know I'm a bit of a broken record talking about this, but it's because it's so important that if that process to you is just eating products, of course it's going to be a miserable, boring experience. But if that process is about that engagement with us, the engagement with the community, that's where you're going to, one, have non-scale victories that you don't even recognize, because we're going to pick up on them. Like in your check-ins, in your like pictures, in whatever, we're going to be the ones saying, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. One of a really good example is one of my clients. She's in maintenance now, but she has horses. And she couldn't ride her horse. And one of the before pictures she sent me was her stood by her horse. And she was showing me her horse on just a random, it wasn't even like a before picture. It was like, oh, this is my horse. It's like, lovely, what a lovely little horse. And then about 6 months later, again, not intended as any kind of before and after, she sent me a picture on her horse, riding him. And I was like, look at that. Like, that is the life change that you have brought because of your weight loss. Like, it doesn't matter what the scale says ultimately today, because all that matters is you are back out doing what you love. But if I had not maybe made a point of that, because we get so wrapped up in the day to day, could have quite easily overlooked it and been like, yeah, it's nice I'm back on my horse, and not being like, actually, that is huge. Like, I've been able to redo something that I love, all because of the work that I've been putting in. So I do think that making sure you have that connection with your consultant, having that accountability, but also understanding that we want you to message us not just when things are bad, because that would be a miserable job to do, but when things are good, because the likelihood is you're not going to think they're as good as we think they are. And we're going to be able to then really make you realise what an incredible thing that is.
Yeah, the tough thing on non-scale goals as well when you're on a diet is the be-all and end-all is you want to lose weight. So, of course, you're going to be fixated on the number on the scales. How I always looked at it was, if I saw someone in the street, if I saw a man in the street and he was like, he was quite muscly, he could run, he was mobile. What does it matter if he was 11 stone or 17 stone?
No, you're right. Yeah.
And then what if there was a man who, was limping around, he can't get about, and he's 10 stone? I'm like, well, I want to be 10 stone, but do you want to be 10 stone, or do you want to be able to walk around or run around or do the things that you want to do? So again, it's like shifting away from fixating on that number on the scale, because you don't, like you always say, or I always hear, you don't walk around with a scale number on your head. No. So you don't walk around like and have something to eat and it goes up and you're like, oh my God, I weigh more now.
It's like an episode of Black Mirror.
It's horrible, isn't it?
You've got to get away from thinking that you want to be this certain number rather than leading a healthier lifestyle.
That's it. It's like what the person you want to be in there. I remember thinking, I want to be a healthy mum that's fit enough to like run around or like not be tired and want to go to bed at 7. And like, do you know what I mean? It's just living a different lifestyle. And I want to be that person in a restaurant that eats well and eats healthy, because I see these mums and think, oh, she looks amazing. You look at her, she's not eating a burger. Yeah. She is eating the salmon and drinking her water. She might have a glass of wine, but everything's in like moderation. I remember I needed to start thinking like that and thinking I am a healthier person. I'm going to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm going to be a bit more active. I'm never going to be like a huge weightlifter or, exercise goer, but I want to do a bit more just so I can be healthier, basically. And I just want to be better.
I know, again, I am plugging it at this point. The positive goal setting in the mindset course is very much what you
just third time, Jamie.
No, I know, but it was very much what you just said, because I don't know if you remember from, obviously you've watched it, I'd imagine, loads of times.
Yeah.
The first session is all about how you build those positive non-scale goals. So it's literally everything you need for this listener, right? Because it's about looking at, instead of being, and this goes not just for Christmas, this goes for, you're starting your plan today. So I want to be, like you said, I want to be 11 stone. So write that at the top of your bit of paper or whatever you're writing down, but write down then what that looks like in your head. And then when you've written down what that looks like in your head, rub out the weight, because actually if you can tick all of that off at 11 stone, then why are we still doing plan? Like, it's
exactly,
you are just chasing a number.
Yeah.
By focusing, what you can then do is when you have all of those things, then you can break it down and individually set goals. So like you were saying, Gem, one of my things is at 10 stone, I'd be able to do the school run and not be out of breath. So let me break that goal down again. To help me get that goal, I'm going to start doing the school run every other day walking, or I'm going to park a little bit further away from the school. So then suddenly you're building out these goals and building out these like milestone points in each that you can recognize you've made progress, that have nothing to do with what the scale is saying. There's no point saying I want to focus on my mindset, I want to not have the scale rule my life, and then do nothing to actually work on doing that. So anything else to add to that, Mr. Motivator?
No. What's your
I was going to say, I actually had a client yesterday that her goal was 11 stone, and she's just hit 11 stone 12, I think. She's like, Gemma, I'm so happy. Like, I feel amazing. 11 stone can do one. Right, let's move up. She's ready. Like, so we started moving up. She's already on step 3. So she's moved up to step 4 now, and hopefully step 5 in time for Christmas. She's so happy. She's like, I don't care what I weigh. And I was like, yes, my work here is done. Like, it felt amazing that she was so happy.
No, don't go.
Bye.
Whoever that is, make sure you're still booking your calls in with Jem.
Oh, she will. Yeah, she will.
Yeah. Right, Jem, what's your battery on?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see. Probably about 20. We've still got time.
Question. Sorry, Jem's battery's low, if you're wondering why. So
I did charge last night. I don't know why.
Now. So, last question for this week says, I've lost 3 stone on plan and I'm 1 stone away from my goal. However, since coming back from the summer holidays, I haven't been able to fully commit to plan. I've gained a few pounds, then lost a few pounds. It seems like I'm gradually putting on weight, which scares me. How can I get my motivation back? Mr. Motivator.
I was going to say, go on, Jamie.
Oh, let me read that again.
Go on, read it again.
It's a long one, that, isn't it?
It is. It's like English literature. It's like
very common, though. I feel like that's very, very common. Yeah. I hear that a lot.
Like, breaking it down, first of all, like, she's already lost 3 stone on plans and she's got 1 left, so she's already 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Exactly. Positive, so, like, straight away.
What an achievement that is. Don't focus on, like, I've still got a stone to go. Oh my god, you lost 3 already, so you've done 3 of them, so you've got 1 to go. Easy. Since coming back from the summer, haven't been able to fully commit. I mean,
why?
Yeah, and is that committing to a lower step? Have you tried like committing to something a bit different to maybe how you've lost the first 3 stone?
Yeah,
you can look at sort of different steps.
Or is it you've just gone completely off plan and done whatever you wanted over the summer holidays and not?
And now you're pissed off at yourself, so you're just wrapped up in this world of being annoyed. And instead of, like, that is the biggest thing I find when people say to me, I've not got motivation. It's not that you haven't got motivation. You're just in this little cycle of self-pity and being pissed off at yourself. Like, and I know that may sound really harsh, and I say it as someone who has been there. Like, that was me all last year. Unless you can get to a place where you're just like, that is what it is. It's done. I can't do anything about it. I have to move on. You're not going to be able to build any kind of positivity or any like momentum with what you're doing, because you're constantly being pulled back by these feelings of being annoyed. You're constantly saying to yourself, I've still got a stone to go, and I haven't done anything since the summer. That's kind of what I'm hearing. I've got a stone to lose, and I've like pissed about since summer, and I'm never going to get there. And it's like, right, okay, let's reframe how we're looking at that. Like you said, you've lost 3 stone. That is amazing. So you know you can do it. You need to really reaffirm in yourself that belief of a stone. I can do a stone. I've done 3. Like, a stone absolutely can happen. Will it happen maybe differently, like you said, Gem, to before? Potentially. Maybe it is that you need to look at doing it a different kind of way, and just not beat yourself up. Like, you need to let that baggage go.
Yeah.
And just
I feel like that's when the beating up happens, isn't it? When you're trying to do something that's really quite restrictive, but you're at that point where you're like, oh, I feel good. It's the diva fever. I feel good though. I've lost 3 stones, so I want to have a little bit, and I need to do plan. And it's just a vicious cycle, isn't it? That goes on and on and on until you decide to actually commit to something, whether that's even step 5. You just need to commit to being in control again and sticking to it. Yeah.
Another positive on it as well is that if she hasn't been fully committing to plan, I'm assuming it's a she, sorry. If she hasn't fully...
Yeah, I always assume, but we don't always
yeah, sorry.
Well, to be fair, 98% of our audience are female. I think you're the 2% male.
Okay.
So.
Positive on this is that if she hasn't been sticking to plan for the last, I'm assuming 6 weeks of the summer holidays, or when the summer holidays was on, as soon as she does fully commit again, she's going to see not the newbie losses, but she's going to see losses coming back again.
She's going to get that little boost again.
And also with the fact that she feels like she's gained a few pounds and lost a few pounds. If you're messing around with being on and off, your body is not going to know what is happening. It's not getting the same thing happening day in, day out. Consistency is key. Yeah. And if you're inconsistent, your body is not going to know what to do with itself. So, of course, you're going to gain weight, lose weight, because it's going to hold on to things, then let things go. Then it's not going to know what's happening the day after.
Yeah.
And then at the end with the motivation, I heard a while ago, and it really resonated with me. Like, you don't need everybody's got motivation. I've got motivation to be a millionaire. Doesn't mean I'm going to get there. You need discipline.
Are you not?
You need discipline is the main thing. It's not about motivation. You could be motivated to lose 10 stone.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, then you don't do it. If you've got discipline to lose 10 stone, you're going to do it.
This is it as well, right? Because people will say about having motivation to lose weight. You do so many things every day you are not motivated to do. You pay your mortgage. You take kids to school. You
non-negotiable.
Clean because we tell us it has to happen. And I was thinking yesterday about the fact that, people sometimes this time of year will say, I'm not that motivated, so I don't really want to waste the money on doing plan in the lead up to Christmas, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, motivation or not, my car needs MOT'd in December. I'm going to have to take it to the garage to get MOT'd and pay for that. And the reason why I have to do that is because it's illegal if I don't have an MOT. And 2, I need that car to be able to do things in my life. You need your body to do things in your life. So you have to, instead of looking at it like I need to just be all pepped up and really excited about doing plan, accept that some days it's the most boring thing ever. You don't want to do it. You do just want to not have to worry about it. But unfortunately, if you are somebody that has a weight issue, if you struggle with emotional eating, binge eating, all of the things we talk about, it has to be a priority. And so you need to harness that discipline, like you said, not wait for some magical motivation to come. And I think we're told this false lie, aren't we, of when it's the right time, that switch will flick. It's like, no,
and then when it doesn't, you're like, oh.
Yeah, there is no right time.
Do you know when motivation will really come? Motivation comes whenever you have practiced discipline to a point at which you start seeing the rewards of the effort that you put in. Then you're motivated to keep going because you're seeing the rewards. And the best thing about this plan is it makes that happen very quickly. Yes, we're asking you to have a lot of discipline from the day one of doing plan, but we're promising you that I will give you a reward for that effort much quicker than any other way that you're going to lose weight. So if you then stick with me and keep doing that and keep doing those daily do's that keep that discipline in line, after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it starts building. It's like a snowball. You build that motivation and that positive momentum going forward. Nobody just wakes up and is super excited and motivated to be an adult, let alone do plan. You just don't have it. And I think we've been fed, no pun intended, that lie that this is about having motivation, waiting for that switch to flip. It's never going to flip.
No.
My switch didn't flip in September when I was like, I need to do a reset. I need to sort my life out. There was no switch that went off in my head. It was just that what happened was I spoke to Gem, and Gem, in a lovely, caring way, said, sort your fucking life out. And I said, okay.
I remember it was before the podcast, wasn't it? We had a little chat and it was like, right, okay, after this podcast, we need a proper chat.
Yeah. Because otherwise, what you know, when you're feeling that low, I think that's the thing as well. You're not, like you said, you're not coming onto plan from a really high place.
No.
You're at a low point. How are you expected to have loads of motivation when you're feeling really low? But you're telling yourself that you should. So already you're battling in your mind with yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like, not only can I not lose weight, but also I can't like create this mystical motivation that everyone else have. They don't have it. They've just put in place those small little daily wins, like you were saying, Jam, that,
and it grows over time, doesn't it?
That grows, and that means that you can feel like you're getting that discipline to get there. We restarted planning in September, obviously. How did you get yourself like?
When you get to a certain point, I think weight wise, or like once you've been at goal and you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, that person inside, or the monster I call it, is still there to go out and eat.
Mine's still there as well.
Yeah, but you recognise at an earlier point.
Venom.
You recognise at an earlier point that you've gone too far, or this needs to stop. It's not a case of like, I'll wait till I get back to my starting weight and then I'll start again. It's like,
well, it's when you're waking up every day, isn't it? Just feeling you're not your happy self, and you've been your happy self. You know what makes you feel good. I think that's the hardest part, because again, you get a lot of people get that guilt of, oh, but I used to feel so good, now I feel rubbish. And then again, they're constantly beating themselves up. But you just have to get to a point where you're like, right, I need to change it.
Yeah, and
I don't know how I got that though.
It's the same around as well. Start and stop is like, if I'm not going to start today, then when are you going to start? And it's like, if you're not going to stop today, then when are you going to stop? Because it's not Monday. Like people, I'll start on Monday. Why Monday?
Like everyone now saying, "I'll wait till January."
Why Monday? Yeah. Like, if you're not going to start now, then you're not going to start, and then you're going to get
Monday's no different.
Yeah, you're going to get 6 months down the line, and then you're going to want to start, and then you're already in a negative mindset because you're 6 months behind where you wanted to be anyway. And it's really difficult to get going from that point. So you just need to line in the sand and start or stop now, whatever you're doing.
That's it. And something that I was speaking to a client about last night that I think is a thing to think about, right? Not like me to go deep into your mind to figure out why your subconscious is making you do certain things.
Well, the Gemma and Rach podcast is sponsored by the Rachel Mindset course, so
go and check it out on YouTube. I'll link it. But
number 4.
We were talking about how she was like, she sent her check-in over, and the first part of her check-in was like really negative and about her being fed up with herself and frustrated with herself. And then, but the second part of her check-in, which is like, you know, how are you feeling about the week ahead, was like really positive. And I was like, your check-ins confused me because it's like 2 different people have written your check-in. And we were, you know, she's got some really good things happening in her life, which is why that second part was so positive. And I was saying to always look at whether or not, when you're having these moments that you're like, I can't get my motivation, I can't get back into it or whatever, you're deflecting from other areas of your life. Now, when we're overweight or we're struggling with obesity, that is kind of a get out of jail free card for every problem in your life. You don't have to face any problem really, because you get to hide behind your weight being the problem. So every issue in your life, in your head, boils back down to, it's because I'm overweight, it's because I eat too much. If I was slimmer, this wouldn't be a problem. And the reality is that is not the case. However, what I see a lot with clients is once you've lost a big bit of weight, and like you say, you're like 75% of the way there, suddenly it can be really scary to not have that get out of jail free card. It can be really scary to not have that thing to hide behind. You can start realizing that actually I'm going to have to face all these things here that I was telling myself were weight related, but they aren't. Maybe it's issues with relationships that you have, or maybe it's confidence issues when it comes to your job, or feeling like you're stagnant in life, or things like this, that now the weight's gone, you're suddenly faced with that question of, well, it clearly wasn't weight that was the issue. And sometimes it's really difficult to have to go in and try and figure out what that was. And so as a protection method, more than anything, our brains will suddenly hyper-focus on weight again. We'll tell ourselves we're not doing plan properly, it's not working. We'll start picking at things because actually it's easier to continue to have that thing as a hyper focus and a problem that we at least feel like there's a clear solution for, than remove that and have to face things that perhaps don't have a simple solution or are going to make us face things that we don't want to face. And then it might not be for everyone. It may just be that you've gone, sorry, I'm going to live my best life. I rarely see that with people. Like normally there is reasons behind why people are doing it, especially if you're someone that is an emotional eater or has emotions so intertwined with the way in which you eat. You need to have a look at those things. And look at your mindset for that. It's a really good, really good thing to do. Because it helps. It does. It genuinely
does help.
I always say, be curious, not furious with your mind. If you're thinking something or your motivation's not there, get curious. Why is it not there? That's so interesting. Why am I suddenly not curious about it? Like, let yourself sit with yourself and think through these things. And you may not have answers. You don't need to. We don't have answers for everything.
No.
But we'll question and we'll become interested in why things are happening the way they are.
Yeah.
To try and get to an answer of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take any time pondering? You don't actually strike me as a type of self-reflection.
Not really, no.
No. You are quite simple. You are, if you haven't got motivation and you're eating loads of rubbish, it's because you haven't got motivation.
It's not motivation.
You're eating.
Go back to the point before.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Discipline, Rach.
Discipline, yeah.
You just don't have. How do you make yourself have discipline then? Round us off with your tip. How does this person start bringing discipline into their day?
Well, you've done it before, so you just.
No, that's no good. That happened before. What do I do now?
Yeah, I know, but you've done it before.
I'm not interested in before.
And
you're
3/4 of the way through, so just go back to what you were doing previously. You've got 1 stone left to go. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's a quarter of what you've already done or what your goal is. So, like, you could get that off easily, and especially like not starting again, but committing again or having discipline again. You will see.
It's committing, isn't it?
Yeah, the loss is coming, and saying again, like, stop now. Like, don't wait until next week, or don't wait until Friday or Saturday or Sunday or Monday. Just stop now. Just do it now.
Yeah. And like you said, Gemma, it's those little daily things, isn't it? Like when you speak to clients and you'll say, right, okay, if I have clients that come to me with this, normally what we do on that call is we sit down and I go, okay, every day I want you to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be things that aren't even weight related. For me, a big one is making the bed. I need to make the bed in the morning.
That is the big one. We do that now. Yeah.
I think millionaires do that, Most millionaires always make their bed in the morning.
They've got a nice bed that's like, massive, and they've got all the layers and stuff. And
it doesn't have to be Mrs. Hinged. Ours ain't Mrs. Hinged. Ours has got. I
don't chop mine
all over it from Poppy.
Sorry. Segue back to discipline.
Discipline. Make your bed.
Make your bed.
But from the question or from the dilemma that you've got there, she's obviously not happy.
Yeah.
Which is the main thing. So, like, change something to make yourself happy again. Bringing that discipline back in will make you happy, because
it will.
You'll be getting to your goal again, and you'll be feeling much better about yourself. Where you carry on as you are at the moment, you're going to be in that cycle of gaining and losing weight all the time, which obviously she's not happy about. So,
but also,
change it.
Feel like for if you're the type of person like we both are, actually that structure makes me feel very settled. It makes me feel grounded, and it makes me feel calmer. Like, if there is that structure to our day, and actually for us, normally whenever we're feeling like we're struggling the most is whenever our routines are out of place, because of Poppy, for example. So like, our little girl's autistic, which, I mean, it's hilarious because you'd think she'd love routine, but there are times when things just get thrown out of whack and it all goes crazy. And that's when we struggle the most, because it's like those daily habits are suddenly being like pushed to be more difficult for us to complete.
Yeah.
But if you can make them super small, like super, super tiny, like the fact we have a cup of tea or coffee in bed every morning, that's a really silly, it's nothing to do with plan, but actually it sets that day off.
It's structure, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got that bit of structure. In the same way, I'll have a cup of tea in bed every night, because it's like start and end of my day. I know you and Jim are the same, Gem, like you'll get into bed and have your brew.
But I like that end. That cuts the day off for me. I have my brew in a bar. If I feel like I need a treat, I have my bar. And then I brush my teeth, I do my skincare. That's like, it closes the day off, even if that's 6 o'clock. Sometimes, if I'm really having like a really hungry day, that will end my day, because that's my routine. And I think, no, I'm done. I've had my dinner, I've had my treat, brushed my teeth, and now I'm going to watch a film, because I've still got 3-4 hours left of the day. I don't want to go back downstairs. But that is I'm the same. I start my day with a cup of tea, end it with a cup of tea. And
and you do that as well, Jem. Sorry to cut in a second, but I think it's a really good point to bring up, actually, because people will sometimes be like, oh, but I can't go to bed at that time. Like, you will. Like, she's not saying it for dramatic effect. Like, there are so many days Jem is like video messaging or voice.
I have to be in bed.
Bed, like, with the kids, with the telly on or whatever. But it's like it really helps your mind to disconnect,
to close the day off. Yeah. And I feel like we've all had enough food that day. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to bed and like skipping a meal or something. I've had my dinner. I just had to have it at 4 because I was ravenous. Do you know what I mean? So some days don't go 100% to plan, but if I keep that last bit, and it's not even necessarily in bed, like it's just upstairs. So Finny might even stay downstairs and watch a film, or I might do best reading with her, or sort her bath out or whatever. But I'm upstairs doing like the end of the day sort of thing. For me, it massively helps my mind. You're right.
people will look again and think, well, that's boring. I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to.
But I'm like, what's fun about sitting downstairs and eating 2 packets of biscuits and crisps and then feeling shit?
Exactly.
They think that's boring, but then they'll look at you when you're on like a night out or you're dressed up, and you're like going out with the kids and being able
and they go, I wish I could do that, or I want to be able to feel like that when I go out.
You have to do the things that she does. Like you said, Gem, it's a lot of the things that actually help people in weight loss and maintenance. 1, are boring. 2, have very little to do with the products or what they're eating, and 3, like happening really small points on the day. That's what's keeping them going.
Yeah, the main thing I would say to think about is you can't carry on with the same lifestyle that you've got now if you want to be something else. So if you want to be 5 stone lighter, you can't carry on the lifestyle that you've got at 19 stone, for example. If you want to be 14, you have to change things, and if that's boring, then that's boring. When you have kids, you have to change things, and they're boring, you know.
Yeah,
but you've got to do it if you want to achieve what you want to achieve. Well, no, it is.
No, but you're right. That is so true. You have to change. You do. You can't carry on the way you are. And a lot of people say to me, "Oh, plan's boring," or eating like healthy food every day is boring. But I'm like, if I look back at what I used to eat, it was the same every day. Yeah. Jamie, you'll understand. Crumpets for breakfast, cereal for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, crisp, same dinner, same every day. It was just unhealthy. It wasn't exciting. It was just boring. But it was boring, unhealthy food. So I changed it to boring, healthy food 90% of the time, which means I can go out and wear a skimpy little dress and feel amazing and eat and drink what I want on one night instead of 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's getting your priorities in a different place.
Like anything, sorry, I was just going to say, like I bet if you spoke to going back to millionaires, because I'm not convinced you're going to become one, all this discipline, like I bet if you said to them about how they made their money a lot, or like how they grew businesses, a lot of it is really boring. A lot of it is not.
Oh yeah, it will be
exciting things. And even with our job, I love my job, but in order for me to keep my business running, in order for us to keep this podcast running, in order for us to keep our social medias running, there is a lot of boring work that goes on in the background for it to happen. But we want to do that because, again, it's the effort versus reward. It's the boring little bits that we do every day that give us that reward at the end, which is not boring at all. It's lovely. It's brilliant. But you have to just get out of your head that things have to be exciting or have to be fun, because there's so many things you do every day as an adult that are mind-numbingly boring that you do, and you do for other people. You go and do a job that I bet there's many boring times in a day. When we used to work in insurance, does that sound fun? Does home and car insurance sound fun? But we did it, and I was working for somebody else. But yes, I got paid, but I was motivated to go into that because I was going to get my salary. But ultimately, the person who was getting any excitement really out of that business was the owners. Yeah. Not me, but I would still go and do it. If you are willing to go and do something that is boring for someone else, for them to benefit from the excitement, then you can take a minute and do something that's going to benefit you from doing boring little daily habits.
Yeah.
To get what you want. Last little point on discipline before we round off the episode. Do you have any?
What do you mean?
Do you have any little motivation, or to know, quotes, inspiration, just a message to the listeners to get them through this week?
No, I just say don't think of Christmas already.
Yeah.
Think of now. You've got 3 weeks still.
3 weeks. 3 weeks tomorrow, Jamie.
3 weeks tomorrow.
Oh, there we go.
Although it might be today, because this will probably go live tomorrow. So 3 weeks today.
3 weeks today.
3 weeks today. So you've got 3 weeks, a massive amount of time.
Yeah.
You can do a lot. Like I said, you could do a lot of good in that time.
You could do the whole mindset course in 3 weeks.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. You could do a lot of good or a lot of bad. So choose, make your choice in that, whether you want to go into Christmas feeling bad or good, and the New Year as well. Just, it starts now. Start now.
You've got 20 days that you can do something. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No, it doesn't. That's what I was going to say. Just something, some
20
changes.
Opportunities to do something to get yourself feeling your best.
I don't get why December's like a write-off month. That's
I know.
it. I just don't get it.
But sometimes, there's loads of months in the year that are write-offs, isn't there?
I was going to say, it's not just December.
January, actually.
August, they're written
you think
off.
January would be the biggest motivator, but a lot of people write off January. Oh, I'm still feeling a bit rubbish I'll start in February. And then it's like, oh my God.
I've got any money. I've got loads of stuff left over. You'll always find a reason. If you want to, trust me, you will find a reason.
Yeah, of course you will.
So if you're coming up with an excuse, I promise you, like you said, there isn't an excuse. You can have whatever you want. You can choose what you eat today. You're a grown adult.
Yeah, right? It's your choice. So
you get to choose. If you are choosing not to, own it. Don't be annoyed at yourself. Own it. That's what the choice you've made today, and that is what it is. But you can choose.
You can change that choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Take action now.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Wow. On that statement alone, I can just, oh my God, I feel motivated, Gem. I don't know about you.
Thanks for having me.
Now. Well done, Jamie.
But I do hope that this episode has helped. Like you said, we are going to bring you some more guests over the next couple of weeks, hopefully just to offer some more perspectives on some of these things and to give their experience as well. And also it's nice to have conversations with other people that have been through this process, especially a man. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Me and Jamie have done a few other episodes on the podcast. I will link a couple of them down below if you want to go back and listen to us speak a little bit more. Me, Gem and Jamie have also done a few lives back in the day when we were like on plan. So I'm going to find those and link them in the show notes and description as well. There are so many resources available. And I think if you take anything from this episode, it is to not let this episode end and that be where it ends for you this week. Continue, think, right, what am I going to go and look at next? Am I going to get that call booked in? Have I messaged my consultant? Now, and especially this time of year, but any time when you're doing the one-to-one diet, that engagement with your consultant or that side of looking into your mindset is so, so important for success. So make sure that you follow along so that you can watch our future episodes. Click the little bell, it will notify you so that you never miss an episode, and leave us a comment. Let us know, is there anything you've taken away from this? And do you have any advice for any of our listeners' questions this week? Are there any bits of advice that you can offer because maybe you've gone through similar things or, you've experienced something like that? So do share, get the conversation going. But for now, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
It is goodbye from me.
And bye from me.
See you later from me.
See you later.
And we will see you again really soon.